Hello everyone. So it's Gene again. It's like 10 o'clock. It's 10 p.m. at night. I don't usually do a lot of 4 videos in one day here, but I just heard about this and I just wanted to just give my, at least what I hope are brief thoughts about it. So as some of you may or may not know, the channel JosiahRises, right? He reviews movies and like many content creators, especially those, who are social commentators and whatnot, he comments on, he has generally a negative opinion on, the social justice woke initiative in media, like I and many other people do. Now, by his own admission, he tends to lean conservative, and again, that's his choice. As I've stated in many videos, I don't care if you're liberal, conservative, neither, in between, libertarian, whatever. I don't much care personally. I don't subscribe to people for their political opinions or philosophies. That's who you are. That's who you are. And to be totally transparent, I am subscribed to him. I do watch his videos on occasion. I don't watch a lot because I'm not a big movie and TV person, but I catch his videos on occasion. So, as you may or may not have heard, he just made a video stating that he had been demonetized by YouTube. I'm going to link to his video so you guys can check it out. It's like a 5-minute video. It's not terribly long, right? But there's a certain point in the video where he shows this screen, and he talks about how he never had a community strike. He doesn't make any content that is harmful, at least in his opinion. So what I wanted to do was I wanted to ask YouTube a question, as much as one can through a video, right? They'll probably see this, even if they never acknowledge it officially, right? They'll see it. Because guess what? They've sent me emails, right? They sent me emails about, using a picture of Jennifer Lopez that's been on the internet for 20 years. They shut down my comment section on a video that was never made or intended for kids and didn't have kids in the video. So yeah, they see me. Even if I am a small channel by comparison, right, a little over 500, they still see me. And I know that you see me, YouTube. Don't don't make me mad. Okay, please don't. I don't want to fight with you. Don't 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 make me bring out the ghetto paralegal. Okay? Please don't do it. But here's my thing. They, according to him, right? All I can go by is his video and what he showed, right? But it says here, your channel, of course, his channel, right? No longer eligible to monetize, right? He's been demonetized. And I know it's hard to read here, and I apologize for that, so I'll read it. It says, after reviewing your application, we found that your channel doesn't follow all of YouTube's monetization policies. And then it says, what should you do next? After that, it says, number 1, review our feedback. Our reviewers found that your channel contains the following. And then it says, with the nice, red exclamation mark, like in the Metal Gear Solid game, right? What? That whole thing. It says, harmful content. And then underneath that, it says, content that focuses on controversial issues that is harmful to viewers. Well, here's my issue with this, right? Here's my issue with this. First of all, and I can tell you this from personal experience, YouTube never sends you any warning. They don't send you an email saying, hey, we think that this topic or this issue or this image might be a little saucy, would you consider, editing it or not using that image or whatever. They don't send you any warning. They take action, and then they tell you that they took action. So it's always a surprise. And personally, in my personal opinion, I think they do this so that it's harder to, stop them from doing something if they do it and then tell you. It's like that old saying, that it's better to ask for forgiveness than it is permission. So I think they're operating, in my opinion, I think YouTube operates the same way when it comes to trying to discipline people, smack them on the wrist. How dare you have an opinion that doesn't follow ours, right? But here's the thing. YouTube. How do you determine harmful content. That phrase in and of itself is subjective, and anything that is subjective, right, cannot be objective, right? What is your criteria? Because if it's subjective, then whatever is harmful or controversial is up to the individual viewer. For example, there are many people who feel, let's say, Holocaust denial is controversial. Understandably so. Many people feel that the great debate between chocolate ice cream and vanilla ice cream is controversial. Chocolate with chocolate sprinkles forever, right? Some people feel that's controversial. Being a Pacers fan in New York City is controversial, right? Being a fan of the Patriots in New York City is controversial, right? Being a fan of the Yankees when you live in Queens is controversial. Being a fan of the Mets when you live in the Bronx is controversial. So, what exactly are you talking about when you say controversial? Because, especially in today's incredibly polarized, emotional, reactionary, unforgiving climate, simple common sense, simple common sense is now controversial. People who have the gall to call for peace and understanding and nuance and reason are considered controversial. Actors such as, what's his name, Zachary Levi, right? When he tries to basically say, hey, we need to come together, right? He gets bullied and harassed online. Clownfish did a video about that. Gina Carano, as I've said in several videos, right? She won't do things like put her pronouns in her bio, right? And all these things, and she gets harassed. Chris Pratt doesn't attend some sort of Biden event, and suddenly now he is worse than Satan himself, right? Because to many people online, right, even if you have a hint of supporting Trump, let alone any proof, but have a hint of it, you are worse than Satan because they automatically consider you a Trump supporter. And again, we have a now presumed presidential, uh, assumed, presumed projected president who tried to claim people's racial identity because they may or may not vote for him. This is what we are dealing with here. So, what is controversial in today's world, on today's internet, on today's YouTube, on today's Twitter, when everything is so polarizing, right? When everything is just so polarizing and so extreme on both sides, right? When you have people like Whoopi Goldberg, telling millions upon millions of people that they're wrong, right? What is not just wrong, right? I should clarify that. Not just wrong, but that they are evil. They are bad. When you have Pedro Pascal saying that anybody, who was a Trump supporter was uh, in support of a sincere hateful government, right? When you have politicians, as I mentioned in the other video, like Maxine Waters trying to shame anybody black who voted Trump, or when you have Ocasio-Cortez doing her very best Joe McCarthy uh, impersonation by wanting now a blacklist of Trump supporters. What is controversial? What is uncontroversial, non-controversial in a world where everything is controversial? So tell me that, YouTube. What is not controversial today? Aside from, towing the party line, which, let's be honest, this is probably why you demonetized him, because he identifies as a conservative. I don't know if he voted Trump. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. I don't much care. The fact of the matter is that he has a right to his opinions. He has a right to free speech. He has a right to say what he thinks about politics, about life, about movies, about cartoons, or anything else that he wants to talk about. It is not controversial. It is not hateful. It is not harmful to have an opinion that is different than the mainstream. The mainstream narrative is not always the right narrative. The mainstream narrative at one time was to put Japanese people in camps because what if they're traitors? That was the mainstream narrative. It oppressed people. The mainstream narrative is not always the right one. The mainstream narrative, when it calls for actual hatred, can get people killed. Just do a little history. Look up Leo Frank. He died for no good reason, all because there was an anti-Jewish bias. And it's a tragedy. And that's what can happen when the mob rules. When the mob decides that they're going to determine what is wrong and what is right. Right? Having a majority opinion doesn't automatically put you in the right. And having a contrarian opinion doesn't automatically mean you're wrong. To my knowledge, Josiah has never done or said or made anything that would be considered by any reasonable person to be harmful or terribly controversial. Maybe controversial in the sense that you may disagree with him. He has made and said plenty of things and made plenty of videos where I don't agree with his opinion. But guess what? Disagreeing with him doesn't mean that he's saying something harmful. It means I don't share his viewpoint. Right? That's all it is. That is all it is. It is not this boogeyman that you keep making it out to be, YouTube. People who are contrarian, right? Who have differing opinions are not this big boogeyman. Okay? October's gone, Halloween's over, grow up already. And the second one is that, what is harmful to viewers? Again, how do you define that? How do you define what is harmful to viewers? Because in my opinion, YouTube has plenty of content that is harmful to viewers, right? For example, YouTube allows mukbangs, right? Or mukbangs, as some people say, right? Which is when a person eats like a huge swath, a huge, table full of food, right? They have content creators such as Amberlynn Reed, who's a very heavy-set woman, right? I mean, like twice my size, and I'm a big girl, right? Very, very heavy-set woman who does this. She's certainly not helping herself. She isn't helping herself at all, right? Doing this. It could be argued that because she doesn't and because she has an audience that follows her, that she could be encouraging others to do this to the detriment of their own health. You have, for example, what's her name? Sorry, I'm stuck on the mukbang thing. You have, what's his name? Nico Cotto, Avocado. Same thing, right? He gets attention, people watch him. It could be argued people follow him. And then, again, it could be argued that he's promoting something that is dangerously unhealthy. Not just unhealthy in general, right? We all know overeating, not eating healthy is bad. But again, we are talking about like a literal table food of like, videos where he's done like, he's like bought literally everything off the menu of a McDonald's and he eats it. Right? That can be considered harmful to viewers, especially if we're talking about minors, right? What you guys bought me for. I talk about a freaking toy, and now you suddenly want to shut down my comment section. Although I didn't show a toy, although I didn't show kids. But anyway, because I talk about a toy in relation to 1980s gaming, suddenly I'm for kids, and you shut down my comment section. But continuing, it could be argued that Nico Cotto Avocado isn't or rather that he produces content that can be considered harmful to viewers. What about her? I believe her name is Eugenia Cooney or something like that, right? She's basically, makes videos on YouTube where she shows off the latest fashions, which is nothing new, but she's quite clearly anorexic. So what about her? What about her? It could be argued that she's promoting a very unhealthy body image issue that can and has cost people their lives, and that she's glamorizing it. So why haven't you guys done anything to shut those channels down? Why haven't you said anything about harmful content from those type of channels? Oh right, you don't care. You don't actually care, YouTube, about what is harmful to viewers or what is controversial in a very hyper-polarized, hypersensitive world. What you care about is people sticking to the narrative. You care about people basically going, dance, monkey, dance. Right? You want people who will just make the type of content that ultimately your platform can benefit from. That's what you're about. You want people, especially those who monetize, to make content that you ultimately can benefit from. What you didn't anticipate was that people were going to use your platform to express their own opinions, right? To turn themselves into a brand. Understand something, YouTube. While content creators have to agree to your terms of service, we can criticize and call out the terms of service, which I will continue to do every single time you screw up. And number two, we are not your employees. I don't work for you. You don't sign my paychecks. My paychecks come from an entirely different place. You don't own me. Okay? You have no hold over me. Now, with Josiah, it's a little different because he's monetized. And naturally, like many people who are monetized, he depends on the money that he gets from YouTube. So I hope for his sake that he can find another avenue, other revenue. Hopefully he is saved up. I don't know what his financial situation is. But I can certainly understand, his fear and his concern because it's a stream of revenue. And life is tough. As many people have unfortunately found out this year due to COVID, life is tough when you suddenly lose something you were depending on, especially something as fickle as internet views, right? You can get 1 million views on one video, and next video you can get 2,000. It's really hard to determine how many views you're going to get video to video to video. It's like all the stars aligning, right? You have to cover the right thing at the right time and say something that will resonate with people. It's very difficult to get all of those things in perfect alignment and to make a video go viral, right? I don't know. I personally don't know, and I will admit I really don't understand why people monetize on YouTube when the climate is like this. I understood it a few years ago, but with the climate like this, I really don't understand why anybody monetizes. But regardless, regardless of my personal thoughts or feelings or confusions about monetization, right, or my personal opinions about an individual's content, I will end this video with a quote from Voltaire, or rather, at least one that's attributed to him, right? And the quote says that while I may disagree with what you say, I will defend to the death your right to say it. And I believe that to be the case here. Do I agree with everything Josiah says or believes in? No. Do I share all of his opinions on things, political and otherwise? No, I don't. Does he have the right to express his opinions, especially when he hasn't violated the guidelines and hasn't gotten in trouble for anything else? Yes, he does. He has the right to free speech. He has the right to say his piece. YouTube does not have the right to demonetize him and not even give a valid explanation as to why. Right? And actually, you know what? I'll end the video, with a quote from Captain America. One second while I try to pull it up. One moment. Where are you? Come on, come on, come on. Alright, come on, document. I keep a document where I write down sayings that I like that mean something to me. It's like 80 pages long. I read a lot. Let's see here. Captain America. Oh, don't start with me, computer. Ah, come on. Ah, here we go. Here we go. And yeah. And this was a quote I've read before in a few videos. So if you're familiar with comics, in particular the Civil War comic from back in the day, you'll probably know what I'm about to read. But here it goes. Doesn't matter what the press says. Doesn't matter what the politicians or the mob say. Doesn't matter if the whole country decides that something wrong is something right. This nation was founded on one principle above all else: the requirement that we stand up for what we believe, no matter the odds or the consequences. When the mob and the press and the whole world tell you to move, your job is to plant yourself like a tree beside the river of truth and tell the whole world, no, you move. That was written by J. Michael Straczynski for the Spider-Man Civil War comic. And while it may be from a silly comic book from a long time ago, I believe in that phrase, and that's why I'm making this video. Because it is not right to silence people like Josiah or Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers, or to have a politician demand a blacklist of people just because they supported someone that that the other side ideologically disagrees with. You cannot abide by Biden's call to come together right now over me. Right? You can't abide by that and then, or at least say you're abiding by that, and then behave like this. And try to shut people down and shut people out either by demonetizing them or trying to shame them or trying to blacklist them or whatever it is. So while Josiah and I might be very different politically, while we may not necessarily have the same views on various pop culture topics, I will continue to be subscribed to him. And I will continue to support his work when he makes videos that I have an interest in. And I will continue to speak up where I see stupidity abound. And demonetizing him for no other, at least from best I can tell, for no other reason than he has made harmful content despite not being able to prove what was so harmful about his content, in my opinion, is pretty damn dumb. So anyway, that's the video. Please let me know what you think, and I will see you all in the next one. I pray I'm done for the night.